Hey everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, talking to you about the events of November 2022. And of course, as always, thank you guys on the podcast, the Know Thyself podcast. Appreciate you both, and thanks for everything, for recommending people, and you all should check them out. So, okay, everyone's talking about this eclipse that we're having on November 8th, that if you're in the United States, it's election day. And people are like, oh God, the eclipse. And eclipses, are kind of rare, but they do happen, from time to time. And this is a total lunar eclipse. It means it's at a full moon. And not only, now at a full moon, of course, we have the sun opposing the moon. And so full moons themselves are emotional, right? And it is a Taurus moon, which is maybe the best we can hope for this eclipse, because Taurus moon is very emotionally balanced. So as far as full moons go, they're less than some others. And the planet Uranus is right next to the moon, and Uranus is kind of blah. Now, on a good level, Uranus is about breakthroughs. It can be epiphanies, it can be spiritual awarenesses, it can be, recommitting to yourself about like your authentic self and this sort of thing, and being true to yourself, which is great, But collectively, people that have a hard time managing their anxiety, it can be very difficult to have. The full moons are hard anyway for people. But then Uranus, it's like the bad part of the planet Uranus is like, I'm right and nobody can. This good thing is being authentic and this is who I am, but the bad part is being wrong. And, people say, I'm going to die on that hill, heard that strangely the past week, people saying that. And maybe you shouldn't die on that hill. Maybe you should see, are you actually right? Or, and I guess that the key is the ego involvement. Is it like knowing this is my truth? Or is it just this raw, like, I can't be wrong kind of thing? So there's that. And some other planets that are involved in the eclipse, there's Mercury. So that's people's communication and the thinking. And these are, in Scorpio, we have Venus and Mercury with the sun opposing the moon and Uranus. I think that the Venus does help soften the eclipse because people have some measure of decorum or awareness of how they're coming across to people. They want to still be liked. People pleasing can help to hold people back a little bit. Mercury is, again, your thinking and your speaking and communication, so things can fly out of people's mouths or whatever. But it can also be I'm trying to go back and forth with the good and the bad of this, or the easy and not so easy. But again, if you're committing to yourself, if you're feeling like with Venus, like what you value in life, and getting your finances together, or following your dream, or passions about art or relationships, and people can really face off in a relationship, and either if it's within yourself about what's important to you or not, or what you will tolerate or not, or with another person, like we have to fix these issues, that can be good. Now, the planet Saturn will also be squaring the sun and Mercury and Venus, and squaring the moon and Uranus in Aquarius. So you got Scorpio and Taurus, and then Aquarius, Saturn. And Saturn can also help to kind of hold the energy down. So it's not like a live wire going all over the place. Saturn is boundaries and limits, so it could kind of hold the energy down. On the other side, sometimes Saturn can, I'm holding down, I'm being held down, I'm frustrated. And Uranus is, more frustrated, and it's like a pressure cooker. If you don't have enough pressure release on it, the pressure builds up. So again, it can go either way. And as far as politically, or I don't say globally, but nationally, at least for us here in the U.S., I don't want to be a doom and gloom person, because I'm not. But just be careful. Don't incite people if they're on the edge, and just sort of watch for snarky remarks, or just kind of lay low a little bit, and just don't egg people on, I guess, is part of it. Because again, people don't have self-control. They really don't have self-control. And so there's that. But if you're on a spiritual quest, it can be really good to break through your fears and challenge yourself, as long as that all that energy is kind of within yourself. It's different, or someone you trust, and again, breaking through limits together and stuff. But people that you don't know who are kind of wild cards, you don't need to be right about that. Pull back or just avoid people that are raw and all that. And they say eclipses kind of start like 3 days before and go to 3 days after. So I'm doing this on Friday. So that's like I guess tomorrow, Saturday, is like we're going into that eclipse energy, even though it's exact on Tuesday, like 6 in the morning Eastern time. But eclipses can also have a resonance if they're working in your chart for 6 months or so. So if you're having that work with your chart, you can kind of still continue to have those breakthroughs and positive energy around that. So okay. Now the new moon that we're having is much easier in that we've got the sun and moon, of course, as you always do, and that will be in Sagittarius on the 23rd of November. But also Venus and Mercury are kind of traveling together right now. Will also be there with the sun and moon. And, Sagittarius is about spiritual quests and your personal truth. And so it can settle the energy down from that eclipse, or even find even new directions. Like you have those epiphanies at the eclipse. The new moon can say, okay, what do I do about these truths? And how do I stay on that path, that is true for me and right for me? And I've turned it around each sort of way and say, yeah, it's still, this is the way I want to be, and this is the path I want to go on. It helps you go on that path, so that's good. Okay, and then another thing in a similar manner, because Jupiter is the planet that rules Sagittarius, so right when we're having that new moon in Sagittarius, the planet Jupiter is going to change directions. It's been retrograde and it's going to go direct, and that'll be like the 22nd, so right in there. Is that what I wrote down? Yeah. Okay. And it did sneak back into Pisces, and it will go back into Aries like Christmas time. But Jupiter is, about your spiritual path. It's about a whole perspective of things. It's very cooperative. It's generous. It's hopeful. And the sign of Pisces is so inclusive. Jupiter itself is inclusive, but Pisces really takes that up even another level, and it can help clear up illusions, and see that like some of your dreams can really happen, so it's things that could feel like wishful thinking can actually say, oh no, I can make this work. Like if you wanted to go back to school and like, oh, I did get a scholarship, or there is some sort of program that allows me to do this, or I could get the time off work, or, like things that seem like, oh, I wish I could. It's like, wait, I can do it, So to keep hope and faith alive, and then see what actions you can take around making that real. So I think I haven't talked that long here, but it's worth talking about. We talked last month about Mars going retrograde, which it did at the end of October. And now planets are always going backwards and forwards. So it's not really a big deal. But Mars goes retrograde least often of any planet. And my theory is Mars likes that least, because Mars is like going forward and doing the thing. And it's like, whoa, we're going backwards for you, And it does get, okay, fine, we're going backwards. And it'll stay retrograde till the middle of January. But that time period of that turning around is a bit challenging, and it's just starting, like this is, like I said, the 4th of November I'm doing this, so it's just getting on that, like, all right, I'm not just sitting still, I'm moving again. And so people could feel a little less tense from the tension of that Mars sitting still, because Mars is anger and Mars is direction and Mars is taking action, and it gets like, why am I not doing anything? Like, why am I sitting in traffic? Oh, people that get crazy if they're in a traffic jam. Mars kind of feels like that when it's sitting still. But now it's starting to move, but then we go into the eclipse, so it's like, whew, some people feel really tense with Mars doing that. Instead of anger, Mars can just be anxiety, and it is retrograding in Gemini, which is their thinking. So a lot of people have been talking about having trouble sleeping, having trouble meditating, and really focusing on soothing your nervous system, whether that's nutritional supplements or an Epsom salt bath, or I love Dr. Daniel Amen, and he talked about this is called havening and petting down your arms simultaneously soothes, it creates theta waves in the brain, and it helps almost like the outer parts of your brain hug the inner part of the brain where the stress hormones come out, and it sort of slows the output of stress hormones, and you could say soothing things to yourself, you know. But taking little breaks, just deep breathing, going to a yoga class, or just a few yoga poses, it can make a big difference in sort of resetting your nervous system during this time. And then there's also, even if you're kind of emotionally balanced, it's collectively kind of, even if people are excited with the eclipse, it's still a lot of energy, so kind of focus on grounding yourself, is really great with remembering you're in your body, because Mars with Gemini, like, I'm in my mind. And it's like, all right, let me also balance some, my feet are on the floor, my butt is in the chair, I'm touching the earth, and you're grounding. So that can also help with feeling less anxious or less harried and rushed, feeling like you can sleep more deeply, things like that. So, okay. So if you want to get a session with me, as always, you can contact me at alunamichaels.com, or text me or call me at 248-583-1663. That'll be in the notes here on YouTube. And you can get my little book on Amazon, which is called The Gifts of the 12 Astrological Signs. And you can find that on Kindle on Amazon, or ask me for a PDF too. Still do that. So, okay, everybody, hang in there. Thanks for listening. And, and eclipses are not the end of the world at all. It's just wise to know they're kind of electrical energy, and especially more electrical, this one with Uranus so involved. So just sort of being a wise observer, and but also having that courage to explore within is a great way to use that. Okay, bye for now.